I don't know. This martial law is something I think we're going to see more and more of, and I imagine the United States is not the only government trying to do this, trying to get this more of a state where the military is going to take control of our law enforcement. See, the United States has a law called the Posse Comitatus Law, and it's an act that was enacted that says that the military could not take over the police powers or the police duties of local law enforcement until martial law is declared. Now, from my understanding, from what I read, when the Marines, as the branch of service that was doing the activities here in the Indianapolis area here in Indiana, that they were to inform the local military that the military notified the local law enforcement, telling them kind of where they would be at, a general time frame and dates they would be in the certain areas. But they were told in so many words, and this is not an exact quote, this is a paraphrasing, but I kind of read between the lines, again, I know what the military is trying to say when they're saying something, is that we'll be here, we'll be doing this, but you have no jurisdiction over what we're doing, or what noise, or whatever else we're causing as far as any kind of, complaints by the local citizens. So don't bother showing up, more or less, And that kind of, the way they worded it was in such a way that a lot of people wouldn't understand what they were saying, because, they got the little fancy little briefs they put out. But that's basically what they were saying, is that don't bother coming over here, don't bother showing up, because you don't have any jurisdiction over what we're doing, even knowing we're landing and doing maneuvers in your city, affecting your people, affecting your citizens, and they would go, Paul, up to like midnight doing these maneuvers, so... Goodness. And so I don't know. This martial law thing is really starting to be something we have to take a really close look at, and hopefully enough citizens will stand up and maybe make enough stink about it that we can maybe hold this back as long as we can.
Definitely, because martial law, like for example, like as you may know, Mr. Larry Cat, that Australia has no guns anymore on the of public citizens. They've taken all the guns off the Australians a good couple of years ago, all because of one guy in Tasmania shot a few people. And it had me thinking, isn't that kind of silly, Mr. Larry Cat? Because in America, there's like every day there's killings by people with guns and etc. like every single day, and yet one guy goes and shoots a couple of people and they take every single person's gun. And it made me think, well, could that be a possibility that they deliberately got that guy to shoot people or something to that effect, and they deliberately wanted to take everyone's guns away for martial law?
Well, I mean,
made me think of that.
Yeah, it's a possibility, I guess. Like I said, I know the United States is not unique to the situations that are going on, and I imagine some of the countries whose constitutions are maybe not don't have the liberties that the United States had and put in theirs in the beginning, may have less maneuvering room to get around some of these politicians and their governments. But yeah, I mean, I think they are looking for excuses, and the United States is the same thing, looking for excuses to impose these sanctions against people and to reverse people's rights and eliminate their abilities to do so. I mean, you get I have to go back to what Charlton Heston said, a famous actor who was the president of the NRA before he died, and he said that guns, made a very statement that's been echoed for many years. It says guns don't kill people, people kill people. If you take and they take your guns away, and those that want to kill, you know what? There's still the black markets. There's still the underground sources of weapons. And I tell you what, they can't get a gun. Well, guess what? They'll use a knife. They'll use a club. They'll use something else. I mean, we were killing people before we had guns. Okay. So guns just make it a tad easier. But I mean, if they want to kill somebody, a killer is going to kill somebody. It doesn't have anything to do with what weapon they're using. Yeah, I find that very dangerous. That private citizens. Law-abiding citizens, if you will, that you're taking the opportunities to defend themselves out of their hands, and yeah, that's a very scary situation. I'm sorry that your country does that. So
exactly, because I'm kind of disappointed. I really do wish I had a gun. Like, I mean, respectively speaking, like for target practice, not to shoot anyone, but for self-defense, I don't think it's at all a bad idea for a guy to have a gun at all. You know. Damn, I'm missing out, Larry.
Yeah, I have two in my house, so.
I'm missing out.
So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. But my opinion on martial law, since we're on the subject, is that you know, I don't think they'd have the resources. I mean, for full-blown martial law. Not that I mean, I don't know, but the way I look at it with the military and the army, because they're over in Iraq, that would mean they'd have to pull out their troops, wouldn't they? Or and then bring it to like back to their own country for martial law, like. Because, like, say for example, if we had another terrorist attack, like after me, I always think I'm in America when I'm not. I'm in Australia, obviously. But, like, say for example, like a terrorist attack happens in, like, you know, either Australia or America, and all the troops are out overseas. We've got no men to back up the country. They're all out of the country, and like we're just left for dead, more or less. Mm-hmm. And it had me thinking, if there was another attack, you know, we'd have no one to back us up. All the guys are out. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to forget my main point. But yeah, that's what I was going to say, Larry. Is that without I don't think we'd have enough people for martial law, because the way I envision martial law, Larry, is, you know, every single street more or less is like got troops roaming around, you know, in those black suits and stuff like that, with machine guns. And mm-hmm. I don't know if they'd have the resources or not. What do you reckon about that?
Well, I mean, I think you're right as far as the envision. I mean, if you use examples of the military rule included in Germany and Japan after World War II, or the American South, during the Reconstruction after the cities were done, I mean, after the war was basically ended, there was martial law pretty much in standard for a long period of time, while the reconstruction of those places happened. You know, you getting buildings, you know, back up and getting, you know, some kind of normalcy, a quality of life, I guess, if you would, you know, to get back into those places. So the envisions of troops and tanks and stuff sitting on the roads is definitely, I think, a valid vision of that. But as far as the resources, I mean, if a country like Australia, as you told me, they've taken away your weapons and your guns, at least, in that nature, yeah, the amount of resources may be to defend yourselves, I guess, or would be at a low, I guess. Now, United States, we have, and I don't know how Australia works, but United States, we have several units, what we call the reservists. And they are basically sitting, and they're basically individuals who either, one, just signed up to be a reserve unit, or number two, people who signed up for the military, did their 4 or 6 year stand, and then took an opportunity to be on a reserve call list for the next 4, 6, 8 years, whatever they want to sign up for. And so I don't think necessarily we would have a problem with having troops available per se. But what scares me about that is I believe there will be another terrorist attack in the United States. There's too many things that are coming about that at first I dismissed. You know, Daniel and I have talked many times about things, and Daniel has a more, for listeners, I mean Daniel Ott, you know, has a little more educated probably picture of this than I do, because he's studied this quite more than I have and interviewed a lot more guests on the subject. But we talked many times, and I really thought he's being little tad bit over dramatic about things. But again, I didn't know what he knows. But again, make a long story short, I've seen things that I've heard in the past come to light now, and things have happened that point me to the fact that I think the United States government has something to do with how 9/11 went down. And I believe there will be another 9/11 attack. I believe that we are still allowing too much to get through as far as security, and we are actually looking for an excuse, and I say we as the United States government is looking for an excuse, I think, to bring about a military-controlled country. And so I believe they're going to use that as a catalyst to invoke that system. And so I don't think it's if, I think it's when the next 9/11, if you want to call it that, terrorist attack will be, because I think something's going to come down and it's not going to be good, and that's going to, I think, going to also make a catalyst for whoever's in charge of our country. Which either we got John McCain, who's like a Tim Conway as far as I'm concerned, just a funny man with really no intelligence, and then we've got Barack Obama, who I have to admit that the way it looks right now, I probably will vote for versus John McCain, because John McCain is just just a puppet, a political puppet, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But Hoover's in charge. Hoover makes it. Hoover, the people